Hey, what is up everyone? Welcome back to another review, and today it's another Premium Bandai review, and this right here is the high-grade Build Gamma Gundam from Gundam Build Divers Break. As usual, when it comes to a Premium Bandai kit, this video would not be possible without those absolutely amazing people over at Bai. So if you do want one of these of your own, there is a link down there in the description. If you're a new sign up to Bai through that link, you will get 1,000 yen off your first order. But anyway, on to the review. So without any further ado, there is the Build Gamma Gundam in all of its glory, and all I can say is, this right here is one very interesting kit. So there is a lot I can say about this guy right here, and it is definitely unique, and the first aspect is, I guess, this is just a variant of the old high-grade Rick Diaz. Of course, the Rick Diaz mobile suit is a massive fan favorite considering its role in Zeta Gundam with, well, you know. But as usually is the case with non-Federation looking kits, this right here has been given the short end of the stick once again. So this is kind of like a Rick Diaz 1.5 as opposed to a 2.0 or Revive. And more than likely what we saw with the Master Grade Lee Gazi and the Master Grade Lee Gazi Custom, the ones that were Premium Bandai that is, more than likely we will be seeing a 1.5 Rick Diaz in the standard colors as well as the Char Aznavour colors. But for now, we've got this extremely uniquely colored kit. So before I go any further with the review, I will mention some details and information about this kit, all of which will be up on the screen right now, so you can pause it whenever you want to read that. But essentially this is from the manga Gundam Build Divers Break. That is the pilot right there. I'll pop up another picture on the left there. It's actually a girl, not this guy here. It's just maybe she watched too much JoJo's before making her avatar. And around here then on the back we've got some information on the material gunpla, which is the Rick Diaz of course. I'll mention the runners very soon. And then about the weapons. And the biggest event in this box, well, is that big old Gatling cannon. Or should I say beam Gatling bazooka, which has the Rick Diaz's head on here as a sight. That is probably the most hilarious thing I've ever seen in a kit. I love that. That's mad. So the first thing I'll mention is a lot of this kit is based off the old Rick Diaz from 2000. That is a 20-year-old kit now. And some of it is this new runner, which is the Bandai Spirits 2019. And hold on for this. Build Gamma Gundam and Rick Diaz. So if that's not telling you, there'll definitely be a Premium Bandai version of the Rick Diaz with these 1.5-inated joints, then there is your answer. That will happen. So if you want to hold out for those, do. So this right here essentially is just a white and purple Rick Diaz with a brand new head and a couple of changes. They didn't do anything about those hands though. Woo! We've got a somewhat uniquely Gundamified head up here, and just a bit of trivia in case you don't know. The Rick Diaz is one of the first, or the first, mass-produced Gundarium-made mobile suit. So it was essentially made out of the same stuff as a Gundam. This time around it was Gundarium Gamma, which was the third generation of Gundarium alloy. So of course the color scheme on this is meant to make it look a little bit more girly. As for if it does or not, I'm not necessarily sure, but there is one thing I will say. The white plastic on this sure is unique. The best way to describe it is it's almost semi-matte, but not really. It is from some angles and it kind of feels soft to the touch. The other plastics are like older plastics tend to feel, but the white is definitely unique. As for stickers, the main ones that we have are for on the eyes and the head camera, like you can see right there. And speaking of which, this right here is the sheet of stickers. Once again, 1 and 3 there. Those are the ones for on the head that you can see right now. That is the eyes, as well as that kind of mono eye up there in the forehead. And as for these yellow ones right here, those are for on the shields. The color that is missing is from these little segments right here. And that right there is what they should look like. So now moving on into the accessories, and there is the Build Gamma Gundam with absolutely everything that it comes with. And also, we do get a clay bazooka included in the kit. This obviously isn't part of the kit, this just comes left over on the runners, so I'll throw that into the mix as well. So first up, as for the hands, all we have is this pair of old school holding hands, but I've never seen this before. This actually has a pull-out trigger finger. So that can be put back in like that, pulled out like so that is pretty cool. Otherwise though, they are just stuck in your standard sort of holding position. So first up, as for weapons, we've got this beam saber that I feel like kind of glows. So I don't actually have a black light and I keep meaning to get one. But yeah, even when you pop it in front of some blue LEDs, that definitely looks trippy and awesome. As usual, that can just be popped into the hand like so. It doesn't necessarily fit in very, well, perfectly, but it still holds it extremely well. There's a little bit of a gap in there, but hey, all in all, can't complain. When not in use, as usual, you can just pop out the beam like so. This does feel a bit fragile, so be careful. To store this away, you have to pop off one of the binders. That just pops in there like so, and then back on with the binder. Next up then, and even though it isn't officially part of the kit, but it does come included in the box, is the clay bazooka. Once again, they haven't changed the hands on this kit, so that means it should pop in easy enough. And yep, there it goes. It does kind of clash with the armor a little bit and is a bit cockeyed, but it's kind of cool to have something for free. Next up then, we've got a pair of the typical Rick Diaz beam pistols. We do, of course, have two of these. So even though these have a lip on the handle, they can actually just be shoved right down into the hand like so. Once again, just like the clay bazooka, these are extremely awkward and can't really be held straight. You can prop them up on the forearm like this, but they kind of just rattle around in the hands and don't really fit per se. Definitely not the most thought out weapon around. Hold on. Yeah, how about the other one? Yeah, those are some bizarro weapons. Whoa! When not in use, they can be attached back here, and these are just a pair of polycaps sticking out, which is, again, a very odd design. So they just pop onto the polycap like that, and that one like that, and they just hang out up there. Also, once again, I've never read the manga, but in the instructions it says that these are wired quasi-Saikomu weapons, so that means they can be fired remotely, and I don't know if that means just like tilt forward and fire away like that, or if they're meant to have a remote wire mechanism which allows them to come out, fly around, and then fire. If so, there is no wire included and no sort of wire gimmick. They just hang out on the back. But that is enough about all that irrelevant stuff. This is what we're talking about. So this is the Beam Gatling Bazooka. Just listen to those three words together. Beam Gatling Bazooka. With a Rick Diaz head for a sensor. And also I will mention it did say in the instructions that the particular pilot of this mobile suit, Emo, wanted some of her teammates to actually sit in the cockpit of this head because the Rick Diaz has the head in the cockpit to help with aiming. That is such an awesome idea, to pilot a big old gun. Not a mobile suit, a gun. So anyway, as for moving parts on this, we've got this handle that moves forward and back like so. The head, of course, can turn side to side like this to look around. I assume this was some kind of gimmick in the Rick Diaz, but this little section can open up like so. Potentially the cockpit or a sensor or something. And we do have this little move down section up here, which as far as I know is meant to be this section up top of the clay bazooka. So I'm guessing this whole thing, yeah, it lines up, is a modified version of the clay bazooka. And sadly, in case you're wondering, can this actually spin round and round like a Gatling can? Well, sadly, it cannot. It does move slightly, but that's part of the way it attaches together. Because it has that bit of an L-shaped groove there, it means it slides on and locks into place like this, so no spinny. So the arm will not be getting in the way of this weapon because it's all off-centered, off to the side. So when you attach it on like this, as you can see, it stays towards the outside of the arm, which is pretty cool. So then you can bring this in, and then just bring that handle into this hand, so it can hold that massive Gatling with two hands. So anyway, that right there is an example of what it looks like holding that absolutely colossal Beam Gatling. Or should I say, Beam Gatling Bazooka. So now moving on to that articulation, and as usual from the head down, and build-wise this thing is solid as a rock. I guess a lot of old school kits are. And to a lot of you guys, I know you'll be very interested in what's different about this compared to the 20-year-old high-grade Rick Diaz we have right now. And the answer is I won't be able to tell you per se because I've never laid my hands on that kit, so I can just show you what this can do. So first off, this is without a doubt the worst neck I have ever seen on a gunpla kit. That looks like a lollipop straw was used to just hold it together. That is not awesome. We have a polycap in there. It sticks in like so. And all it can do is look from there to there. That is it. If you pull it out, I thought you might get some back and forward, but nope, not a bit. Next up, inside the chest, linking to the shoulder, we've got a little bit of forward and back, but nothing crazy. The shoulder armor is then separate, so it can move up and down like so. This little piece can move in and out like that. That right there is the arm all the way up, so just parallel to the ground. We've got the full 360 spin, but that back binder might get in the way. That full upper arm spin. I'm going to assume this is new because it's very nice. We've got a double jointed bend at the elbow, which is pretty awesome. The wrist is a standard ball joint, but at the same time is a little bit on the limited side, but it's not so bad. Ab crunch. What's that? We have this tiny little bit of rotation here, but that is all. The front skirting armor moves up like so. That is a ball joint, can move around. The side skirting has a very limited up and down. And we've got that old school paralyzed butt flap. As for those binders around back, they can just rotate from there to there. So not really a whole lot at all. Inside the waist then we've got forward and back rotation, which allows the hips to move forward and back. If that leg moves forward, this leg will move back, etc. I'm assuming this is new because that is a standard universal joint up there instead of what I assume was a ball joint. Still, we don't have any separated armor up here, so you don't really get much in the lines of rotation. As for the kick up to the front, that is definitely pretty good for... Ooh, hold on. Look at that sag. But anyway, that is as far up as it can move. Heavy leg though. As for out to the side, it goes out about that far, so almost the splits, not too bad for a big boy. And out to the back, we don't really get all that much at all. Next up then, as for the knee, there is the bend. It's not too bad, but not great, just beyond 90 degrees. And as for the ankle, like you can see right there, it's just a very bare bones, basic ball joint. So just this and that. And let's check it out on the ground. So let's check out what it can do without lifting its foot off the ground. There it is all the way out. There's all the way out again. There's all the way to the back and all the way to the front. So very basic, but once again, it is a space use mobile suit. So as far as articulation goes here on the Build Gamma Gundam, it's extremely basic, and I would have hated to see what the standard high-grade Rick Diaz could do. Or couldn't do, I should say. So that right there is it for the review of the Premium Bandai Build Gamma Gundam. And all I can say is, this is definitely one unique high grade, will stand out in any collection because it's relatively large. The color scheme is very unique, but at its core, this is a bronze tier gunpla. It can't really pose, it doesn't do a whole lot, barely holds its weapons, and just is not up to spec for 2020. When it comes to gunpla, you can do a whole lot better than this right here, but at the same time, if you like your suits like the Rick Diaz, etc., a lot of these kits that haven't been made or reproduced in a long time, then you might really be hurting for something that's a little bit better than your standard 20-year-old kit, and I guess that is the hole that this kit is trying to fill. More than likely, we will see some standard colored Rick Diaz's in future, as well as a version. It's pretty much guaranteed because it is on the runner, so if you're thinking on waiting for something a little bit more traditional, then you can wait for those. If you want something with a pretty awesome looking big old cannon, then you might want this one right here. As usual, there is a link down there in the description if you want to get one of your own, 1,000 yen off your first order. As always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to come back for more gunpla reviews, and I will see you next time. As always, I cannot finish this video right here without thanking each and every one of you guys who watches my videos. Whether you just watch them, like them, share them, or support me on the channel memberships and Patreon like Craig Jerry, Kaiser721, Bolwick, Tyler Sanders, Caleb Engelhart, and Hank Handsome.
Ten quattro pagina.